Hello and welcome to Breakfast Central. It's good to be back here on the air to bring to you the latest stories from across the continent and also here, particularly in Nigeria. Trust you're doing good. Hope you had a fantastic night rest. For us here on News Central, especially on Breakfast Central, our duty definitely remains our focus. Welcome. My name is Joe Hansen.
And I'm Benga Borough. Welcome to Breakfast Central. We're happy to welcome you to the midweek edition of the program. We have a lot in store for you, as always. And the trio, yes, we're all complete. The team is here, and we'll do justice to all the big stories making the rounds across the country, and also when we take deep dives into our major conversations of the day. And I must say, Joe, you're looking very business-like. You know, this is the season of political posters. When politicians roll up their sleeves, you know, this is when they braid hair, this is when they eat agbado on the road. This is their campaign mood, you know, roll the sleeves and we're ready for work. But what happens when they get there? They start, I mean, it's almost like it's politicking all over and over again. Or they start making excuses that the previous administration did this. But let's hope things would face governance, because Nigeria is playing catch up in a lot of areas, and there's a sense of urgency to fix things. Lives are at stake and people's well-being. So we appeal to members of the political class to please do what they're elected to do, their primary responsibility.
We've gotten to that period of Ijebu Gari, rappers, you know, not forgetting all of that being brought to the people. This is the season. It started already. That's one. Secondly, I think I personally am not impressed with the recent situation concerning the Makoko issue, the Makoko demolitions. I mean, the Lagos State House of Assembly is just waking up and saying they should stop the demolitions of everything happening in Makoko. And I'm like, okay, so what were you guys?
You're like, good morning.
All the while. You just woke up. Oh, you just found out that the people died? Oh, wait, you didn't hear about the demolitions all the while? Oh, I forgot. You were busy looking into the budget. Okay. Oh, I forgot. You were also looking at how much will be spent in buying new cars for them. Oh, I also forgot. Oh, the new houses and the, you know, refurbishment and all of that. That heavy budget. That's what they were looking at.
Do they say that anytime a person wakes up? There's an African proverb that says, anytime you wake up is your morning.
Ah, okay.
So that's why in the military, every time is morning.
Yes, morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
At night. Morning, sir.
So good morning to our lawmakers.
I'm sure you remember that major where we used to work before. Morning, sir.
Oh, Major. Yeah. He was, that's true. I should go and look for him one of these days.
He's still there.
He is? Okay, we'll go and look for him.
Yes,
anyway, you're welcome to Breakfast Central. We're streaming live on YouTube, News Central TV Live. It's the platform, and we go there to take your comments and your reactions to the stories that we are exploring. We're going to be starting the show this morning on a very, very controversial note, as there have been reactions surrounding a viral video showing the former Edo State Governor, Senator Adams Oshiomhole, in what appears to be a private jet, seated opposite a woman and massaging her feet. The woman, identified by her Instagram handle, has since drawn public attention, with the footage sparking mixed reactions across social media.
Slow motion for better effect.
Wow.
Yeah, I like the massage. It's very soothing.
Everything's soft.
This is a sitting senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Okay. Oh, wow, Joe, wow.
No, it's a sitting senator.
Okay.
And it's sitting. Can't you see that position in the private jet?
You know,
wow.
That's what you call
queen treatment only.
Queen treatment and a comrade massage.
A comrade massage.
Yes.
Yeah, right. It's queen treatment.
The massage, the comrade.
This, of course, you're wondering, why is this so much of a big deal? It stirred debate given Oshiomhole's past as a prominent Labour leader who once championed workers' rights.
I mean, even that Green had a verse dedicated to Oshiomhole. Mo ni fight for him, mo can she Oshiomhole. In pom pom pom. That song.
Wow.
Mo lenu be pom 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 pom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
he made it to pop culture history. Yes.
So people are wondering, first of all, why are we making a lot of noise about this video? You first see the woman walking majestically. You know, so this is the thing. Everything, I mean, on a much lighter note, everything was not making it to social media.
Different people.
It's a different babe.
This is not his
wife. So they've analyzed and asked if it's his wife. But, I mean...
I don't know the status of his wife.
Anyway, I don't know the status of his wife.
Broken.
I don't know the status of his marriage.
No laws were broken in giving the massage. I mean, you have to give it to the senator. He has good taste.
It is not my business what he does in his private life.
Yeah.
However, why this has become an issue of public controversy, I mean, it's because, can we please come back into the studio?
Is that Santorini or Erin Jesha
waterfalls? Not concern me. The reason,
Shaw said food is cheap now.
Exactly. So that's what I wanted to start with.
Wow.
The reason why this has sparked a lot of controversy, because you may wonder, why are we making a big deal out of what a man does in his private or with his private life? First of all, there's an interview that recently went viral where Oshiomhole was interviewed on Channels TV, and he said that Nigerians are saying that food is very cheap now. That was the first thing he said. Now, the second reason why this is a huge issue is because he's a sitting senator. A sitting senator in a country that's, that talks about how we should observe austerity measures. We should cut our coat according to our cloth.
Hundreds of millions are living in multi-dimensional poverty.
Abject poverty. We're in a country that is struggling to make ends meet, and this is an ostentatious display of wealth, which coincidentally contradicts the very foundation of Oshiomhole's political identity as a labor leader. The picture of a labor leader is one who is an aluta fighter. You're fighting for the rights of the common man. That video does not in any way represent.
Well, what's his wearing in that video represents his aluta background, because he's wearing those comrade type uniforms.
He that fights and runs away
austere
shall live to fight another day. Please let the man enjoy his life.
Long before, for the Gen Zs that are watching this program this morning, long before there was a VDM, there was an Adams Oshiomhole.
Absolutely.
He used to fight for the rights of the common man. But I guess since he said food is cheap, and Nigerians are complaining that food is too cheap now, so there's no reason to fight anymore. Let's live. Live and let's live. Let's enjoy life.
Let's talk about the former APC chairman.
Let's
talk about the former governor.
We can crack jokes about this as much as we want.
Me, I'm not cracking jokes.
But it's not even funny. And it's not funny because, again, we are going back to what is the origin. As a public servant, there's a certain ostentatious display of wealth that people find offensive. As a public servant, sensitive. You are serving the country. You are there as a senator representing citizens. And that picture is not a picture that represents someone who is out there serving his citizens. We don't care what anybody does in their private life. But the moment you bring it to social media, it has become our business. The question will be, how are you getting that money? Is it the citizens' taxpayers' money that you are using to flaunt a very lavish display, lavish lifestyle? This then goes back to states governors who are being paid salaries, even while they're not governors. I beg to differ, but I can argue that he's still receiving salaries. He's still receiving pension to the tune of what the incumbent is earning. He's earning a lot of money. First, as a former governor. Secondly, as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That's a lot of money, which now leads us to saying we need to go back to the drawing board. First things first. Many states need to be like the Abia State governor. His name just slipped out of my
Alex Otti.
Thank you very much. Alex Otti. Many governors need to be like Alex Otti. Many states and lawmakers need to be like Alex Otti. You need to ensure that you sign a bill into law that ensures once a governor is out of office, he no longer earns pension to the tune of what the incumbent is earning. He no longer has the salaries, allowances, and all the extras.
It's a drain on state resources. And we're talking about austerity measures that Nigerians should tighten their belt, they should sacrifice, but the political class never sacrifices. And I'm sure you guys have seen this recently on social media, the wrist watches, the watch game of executive officials, of government officials. These are going into the tune of $200,000, the minimum, $50,000, $20,000. Emmanuel Macron was doing an interview on TV, and it was talking about workers' welfare and all of that. And then he realized he had an expensive watch on. Because he was so conscious of it, he removed it. And by the time his hands came back up, the watch was gone. This guy's I mean, if you look at their salary, the revenue package, it doesn't match what they are putting on their wristwatches. And that's just wristwatches. But they don't care. They're not sensitive to the needs and the plight of the
Permit me
people.
to track back to Monday with my new quote. Nigerians are Nigeria's problem. I like what is happening. It's good. And why I say I like it, it's very good. People always think that the oil and gas sector is the biggest sector. It's a lie. It's a political sector. It's now a sector that I choose to call it. It is the biggest sector in Nigeria and in Africa.
I mean, how else would you explain selling nomination forms for 30
what
million
are you telling
naira?
100 million naira? How would you sell a presidential form for 100 million naira?
How much is
and
paper?
People will buy it. Isn't
How
that
much
a
is
sector
printer?
that is
How much is
thriving?
ink?
Well, you're even going far. The current Senate president, take a look at his past antecedents. He has worked in government almost all forms, apart from having his own private practice back then.
FCT minister too.
Check it out. Check the FCT minister. There is
Local
no
government
prior.
chairman too.
There is no company, no nothing. Aside from the fact, engineers are now becoming politicians and they are gaining wealth. Look at Malami, who is under the EFCC custody. Look at what he said he's earning every month. Look at what he has acquired while in office. And you are telling me that they will not kill, they will not maim, they will not fight to get into power. They know that once you get into that political seat, I mean, look at the monthly, look at the annual budget of states. Look at the figures.
I mean, you're doing this. I mean, if it was,
if you're getting 150 million,
it's when you compare it to how people
buy a car.
are living, how ordinary Nigerians are living, how they are struggling to survive.
You see,
that's what makes it very
That is
annoying.
the irony of every single thing. If you're going to compare it to buying a car, you're giving me 150 million to buy a car. You're going to give me 100 million naira for home allowances, house allowance. You're going to give me monthly, every sitting. I'm earning almost 4 million. Then guess the biggest part? The contracts. The contracts.
Yes.
You ensure that it's well shared. Oh, okay, Alpha, I must get my own share of the contract. So whether you like it or not, Nigerians cry from today till tomorrow. Nothing will happen because guess what? Nigerians are Nigeria's problem. When you're ready, then definitely you might want to say, okay, it's high time. It's high time
Maybe we're just the one making a lot
changes.
of noise in the studio about how important the conversations on what we just watched is. And it's not a conversation about morality. It's more about it's political bankruptcy and showing the service, the heart of politicians and service to the nation. Again, whatever you do in your private life is your business. But the moment you're a public servant, everything you do will come under scrutiny.
Business.
It becomes our business. Let's see what Nigerians are saying on X. Keep your comments coming on YouTube. After we take what Nigerians are saying on X, then we'll head to YouTube to take comments from the chat box. But let's go to X and take a few tweets this morning. Producers? Okay.
Trophy says, funny how it's always private jet. Mystery lady and sudden deletions, never accountability. The real issue is in the message, is your
Isn't the massage
and the optics. Public office demands a level of discipline and awareness because once you're a public figure, nothing is really private. And Nigerians are tired of leaders who treat seriousness like a joke. They are not tired. I understand you, but they are not tired. Jumps
I
on it
love
to
it.
say,
I love it.
Exactly. When Comrade tags him, says food prices have dropped, okay. He's not speaking from the marketplace. He's speaking from 30,000 feet. A man who can casually rent a private jet for indulgent personal errands, just so he could massage the foot of an OnlyFans South African female. I did not say it. He said it. Lives in a different economic universe altogether. How would someone so insulated from daily struggle know the price of garri, rice, or cooking oil? Hunger doesn't register in first class, and inflation is invisible when your life runs on private jets and dirty, privileged, failed lifestyle. This strikes hard, hits hard though, and quite bitter. Let's see, we have more tweets quickly, but that's coming from Moyole Showore. Okay, this pretty much small. Let me see if I can possibly get a look at this squint. Well, Adeniji says, I can't help but wonder what and how Senator Adams Oshomole's children must feel right now watching their father Trent, not for legacy, not for transformational leadership, but for headlines linked to public embarrassment of their father flirting as a sugar daddy. The painful irony, a state he led for 8 years still battling poverty and roads that hardly reflect governance, while his voice in the Senate feels louder in controversy than in impact. It is heartbreaking when those once trusted with the hopes of the people slowly become reminders of our collective disappointment. Leadership was never meant to be a luxury funded by the suffering of citizens. And now, as another election season approaches, the familiar cycle of sweet promises and political persuasion is already in the air. The playbook is old, but Nigerians must not be. May God show mercy on Nigeria and awaken our conscience to demand better, because a nation rises only when its leadership remembers that power is stewardship, not entitlement. Well, that's another tweet, quite lengthy, but hits the mark. Senator Shilson says,
as a fellow
Ambassador,
comrade.
in the spirit of the struggle, Comrade Adams was just with a fellow comrade from South Africa. What is the problem with you people? I can smell the sarcasm, hidden in that tweet. Another one, Odelora says, this is the reality we ignore while citizens struggle with hospitals, snake bites, killing somebody, education, and basic needs. Power and privilege are being flaunted in the most brazen ways. No wonder iniquity keeps growing. Accountability is stranger, and so on. Know this and no peace, King of the South says. The Nigerian that will save Nigeria can't grow in Nigeria. A system will reproduce the same system. Read that again. Deep. From NLC president fighting for minimum wage to rubbing feet on a private jet while the country faces its worst economic crisis. The transition of Nigerian labor leaders needs to be studied. They don't want to fix the system. They just want to join the elite. And how do you start? You know better.
I wonder how the current president of NLC, Mr. Joe Ajero, will feel about this. Maybe.
Sorry about the laugh. Anyway, let's head to YouTube. This is a real sorry for the laugh situation. Let's head to YouTube and take comments. You are wondering how Joe Ajero, is that what Joe Ajero is thinking about? Is that one his business?
Maybe future ambitions.
Okay. Our first tweet this morning, good morning, sent TV, Mrs. T. Johnson, I hope I didn't mispronounce that, says, listen to this, told the lady we work together here that we don't have 24 hours electricity in Nigeria. She said, what? Guess the question she asked. She said, what will happen to the meat inside the freezer? I shook my head. But just look at this one. Meat
inside the freezer is the list of your problems.
It's the list of...
Is that the person that has meat? That be worried about meat inside freezer.
These days, you go to restaurants, when they ask of, Mama, give me amala, give me this protein meat.
Check Mama.
Everybody's a vegetarian.
But food is now cheap now. I thought Oshomole said food is cheap.
Yes.
Maybe on 30,000 feet up. No, maybe it's cheap.
No, food is now
first
cheap.
class.
Guys, food is cheap.
Okay, Franco Bute says, Osho Baba giving a timeless style massage with unmatched quality, and he puts this finger sticker, clock it. We have Mokuye Chukwemeka who says, there are no consequences for things like this. Watch Oshomale's fans defend him. God will not make decisions for us as Nigerians.
No.
Chuka Ochiama says, of course I keep repeating that our rulers only come to power to amass humongous wealth and to also enjoy themselves along with their pepper-soupious charming girlfriend.
Wow.
We've learned a new word.
Wow.
All through today, I must use pepper-soupious.
Pepper-soupious.
Please keep the comments coming on YouTube and we will keep taking them. Again, we must say that public office holders must realize that they are accountable to Nigerians. You can't ask for us to pay tax and not be able to defend the quality of life you're living. We need to ask questions. Until we ask questions, we'll continue seeing
Africa Report did a piece just last week on Senator Ekorimadu, who's in jail in the United Kingdom, and said he has allegedly earned over £300,000 while he's in detention in another country. So when you juxtapose the amount public office holders get as emoluments, as welfare for salaries and everything that accrues to them, and you compare it to the Human Development Index, it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. If you're a country like Singapore, the Principality of Monaco, Switzerland, countries, Liechtenstein, countries that are rich and can afford it, why not? But you look at the plight of a common man. They're living in abject poverty, majority of Nigerians, and then you see the lifestyle of public office
all you care
holders.
about is to
It's really,
destroy
really
Makoko,
sad.
to destroy Makoko, destroy houses that you are not even providing.
For overriding public interest that
You're
will
not
end up
providing
as
the houses.
luxury estates for the few that can afford it.
You are
Very
still,
terrible.
is it not shameful that you're still proud of what a late predecessor did?
40 years ago.
Lateef Jakoli that built houses. You have not built any.
Let's move away from,
story,
you know, videos of massages and let's move on to Kano State. Another video circulating on social media shows what appears to be a herdsman walking openly armed with a firearm along streets in Kano State in broad daylight, sparking alarm among residents and intense debate online about public safety and security enforcement in urban areas. The footage shared widely on X and Facebook prompted some users to criticize the perceived ease with which an individual could carry a weapon through a busy city, raising fears over arms proliferation and inadequate policing, while others expressed concern about broader security in parts of northern Nigeria. Let's take a look at the video.
So mun fa abin da muke gani yanzu a Dawanau kenan. A Dawanau gari kenan. Mun fa Kano mun fara yin baki. Mun ba Kano mun fara yin baki. Sai dai Allah ya ta mana.
That's what we have in today's modern Nigeria, where people walk openly and freely with guns on the streets. And then you wonder and ask yourself, where are the security operatives? Are you expecting the people to report them or to do something? They can't. And this, as we hear, is in Kano State.
So a number of things that come to mind.
A lot.
First of all, is it not a crime to openly carry firearms? Is this person licensed to carry this firearm? Do they have a license under the, you know, Firearms Act? So you think about a number of things. What has made us get to the point where people are this comfortable to do this in broad daylight? It's one thing to do it in the middle of the night when you think law enforcement agents are not watching. But for you to get to the point to brazenly carry it out in the daytime, it means that this has been done over and over again, and there haven't been consequences. It's why they can get away with it.
I mean, the only reason I can deduce for the level of confidence, and I mean, in broad daylight, is protecting his herd, and he's openly
Protecting his herd with a gun?
And openly carrying a firearm is that he probably has a license somewhere that gives him the right to, because this is, I mean, it's broad daylight, he's not hiding it, and he must, because I don't understand where that level of confidence will come from.
Will he be interrogated?
There are security operatives in different parts.
Of course, they can find him if they want to.
In different parts of the metropolis in Kano.
Is he even aware that he's committing a crime?
You see, let me just add this, guys. We are slowly and gradually, with so much speed, deteriorating in every single facet. Just look at it. Look at it again. Just recently, a snake bite killed someone. The hospitals did not have the anti-venom. And that same, just yesterday, the Senate now sat down, convened, and said, gave a directive. All hospitals must have anti-venom going forward. Called on the Minister of Health.
Do they know you need 24 hours electricity?
I wanted to say, would they also ensure that they pass a bill to ensure that we have 24 hours electricity to preserve it?
If you look at all aspects, all facets, it's starting,
I'm not an expert, but...
And all we think about is politicking.
But from,
this move shows what politicizing issues can lead to.
But from this video, others will argue that, you know, you have hunters that carry dang guns, you have people that... No, it's a valid argument. If you go around, you have security, you have community development associations where they organize, and some of the security personnel do carry weapons, so they could argue. Personnel? No, I'm just saying, what does the law say about open carry and licensing of firearms?
Does it work with the NSC?
No, you don't. You don't have to. They're civilians. You can apply for a license. You can apply for a firearm license.
So if I have a gun, I can bring my gun to the studio.
I'm
as we're
not.
talking,
That's
I'm like
you're being extreme here. No, I'm just saying, for the sake of argument, that you can apply for a license and get a license to carry a gun.
But the license is not just given to any random person. You and I can't just apply to get a license to carry a firearm.
There has to be a background check.
Right? No. We don't have. If this is not America, it's not America where you can own a firearm and then you apply. If you're not a security official, what's the explanation for you owning a firearm? It's not legal. We don't permit carrying of firearms. Something as small as carrying all these little things, even pepper spray, a number of people will categorize it as illegal. So it's now a whole firearm. It's not legal. It's an offense. It's a crime.
Granted.
But people apply for firearms for protection.
You have people
protection.
who have firearms because they've applied.
Yeah, and for protection.
There are people who have firearms, facts.
That are non-security civilians.
Operatives. They applied, they've gotten. I mean, I used to have a friend, yes. And there's detailed security check. From DSS, everybody check, complete.
It would be nice to actually
reach out to law enforcement. Who did the detailed security check for this individual? I
beg, let's leave that. What is detailed security check about that?
Let's see. If every morning you wake up, you just drink your tea and hope for something better, maybe. What are the Nigerians saying about this, Director? You ready for us now? Police, I'm genuinely curious to know if it is permissible under Nigerian law for individuals to openly carry firearms like this in public. I can pause and answer, no. If a herder can openly carry such a weapon to protect his livestock, why aren't ordinary citizens allowed to legally obtain and carry similar firearms for their own self-defense against terrorists, bandits, and kidnappers? Looking forward to reading from you, Benjamin Undeng. We do hope that he responds. Wow. Majid Raji says, likely a prelude to something bigger for somewhere farther away. Then the excuse ready and handy. What is really wrong with herding cattle with guns? They did it around here, and it didn't hurt anyone. What has the comm of police done? Has the governor said anything? Well, the governor just defected to APC, so he's focused on the mandate. Wow, just wow. What's popping? And he's like, and his ilk won't see this and condemn it. They will turn a blind eye. But if this thing is happening in the southern parts of Nigeria, they will be quick to run their mouth. In addition, are there no police or any other security operatives in Kano State? This place doesn't look like a rural area. So what gave him the effrontery to display arms in broad daylight? There is certainly more to this. Okay. Gibbs Aloma says, nothing to see here, just first-class citizen crossing the road.
The VIP escort.
Escort. What are the first-class citizens there? Anyway, he's not even hiding the firearm. At Police NG, please investigate and take proper action. This shouldn't be happening. And our politicians know they hide their corruption. Terrorists know they hide their gun. Okay now. And guys,
we need to do something about proliferation of arms across the country. I mean, that's why you have unknown gunmen in some parts of the country. You also have herders openly carrying firearms. The police should come out and explain to the public what the situation is with firearms. Are there some Nigerians that are privileged to carry firearms, and are there other Nigerians that shouldn't carry firearms, or does it have to do with geographical locations, so Nigerians know how to act when they see things like this? It's in the interest of the general public, for their safety, to have a clear understanding and directive of what the law says about this. And hopefully the PRO of the Nigerian Police Force, Mr. Benjamin Undeng, will respond to this public appeal.
Finger, let's just keep our fingers crossed, and let's hope that every single thing would come to light in terms of the explanation on why that individual has chosen to come out broad daylight, hold a weapon, and walk freely like it's normal. The next time, after all, we see policemen also hold their guns and walk around the streets.
Until the day somebody will have high blood pressure when they see that thing and they will pass out, and then they will now sue them for being, anyway.
Sue?
I really sometimes, when I say some of these things, I'm like, yeah, in Nigeria, you need to be calming down.
You know, people, just to wrap things up, as I wrap up, because
I think we still have one more top story. We will have time to come back and
we're done. And just to wrap up, and like somebody would say, there's a thin line between demarketing Nigeria and marketing Nigeria. But then again,
between demarketing Nigeria and actually factually stating what is wrong with Nigeria?
No, I'm going somewhere between marketing Nigeria and demarketing Nigeria. Marketing is the positives, the lights, the beautiful things, and so on. Demarketing is what you just have to say because it is true. And somebody approached me and said, oh, I watch you in the morning. Don't you think sometimes maybe we can color it? And what are you coloring? What is bad is bad. And then boils down to just ensuring that people understand the truth.
I will say,
but there are
in
also
addition,
positive things happening.
there are positive things.
agree.
But I will say, in addition to that, yes, that there really is a thin line between demarketing and stating factually what is happening. Because there are many people who say, oh, you're demarketing Nigeria, but the truth is, did this happen or did this not happen? Is this the reality or is this not the reality? And we can't fold our hands and pretend like things aren't going wrong. It's our responsibility to call them out, especially with our capacity as the fourth estate of the realm. We will continue to call out these things. But let's share with you the top stories for today, and then we'll get into the conversations proper. This morning on Breakfast Central, President Tinubu hosts World Bank, says Nigeria is not turning back on reform. President Tinubu asks Wike to halt Governor Fubara's impeachment. Governors under pressure to account for 9 trillion naira federal allocations. Wow. Wike's PDP faction schedules National Convention for March. Interesting. We'll be bringing you the newspaper front pages this morning. Stick with us for all these and more. State governors are undergoing criticism over how they managed a record 9 trillion naira windfall from the Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAAC, in 2025. A surge in revenue that many Nigerians expected would translate into better public services and infrastructure. Data shows that FAAC allocations to states jumped by over 2 trillion naira in a single year, lifting total inflows to nearly 9 trillion naira, and experts say that this should have significantly eased pressure on state budgets. But instead of visible improvements in education, healthcare, roads, and other essential services, many citizens, labor unions, civil society organizations, and opposition parties are questioning why so little has changed on the ground.
Critics argue that weak governance, misplaced priorities, and persistent corruption at the subnational level have diluted the impact of this historic revenue increase, prompting calls for greater accountability, transparency, and better expenditure outcome. To help us explore more on this, we do have a former Chief Press Secretary of Osun State, Ismail Omekwidan, joining us this morning. Thank you for being here.
The pleasure is mine. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I mean, it's good to know that you're one who has actually worked very closely, especially in government, and you've seen how governors or local government chairmen, name them, how when it comes to funds and managing the funds plays out. Can you share with us, really, as we start this conversation, with a 2 trillion naira increase in states' revenue this year alone, where can citizens find a line-by-line breakdown of how this windfall has been spent, if there's any? And do you think that the governors are actually doing the right thing in using this money to benefit the citizens?
Well, we will not be fair if we pack all the governors together as not doing enough to better the lives of citizens. I am aware that out of the 36 states, a few of them are making efforts to show for the humongous allocation they collect from the Federation account every month. The challenge we have, for me, is with the citizens. They have not been advocating well enough for the governors to show accountability. As an individual, I started what I will refer to a one-man advocacy campaign as far back as 2024. What led to that advocacy was that when I checked what the states, the federal allocation, what the states and the federal government shared in between April and May 2023 was never beyond 780 billion. But by June of the same year, it has jumped to 1.1 trillion. And I began to ask, what are the states doing with this money? I recall, if you remember, there was a time the states were asked to buy buses, mass transit buses, to cushion the effect of subsidy removal. I'm sure if you take a census today, out of the 36 states, hardly will you get 5 out of the 36 that have functional buses plying their streets with the hope of, helping the citizens. Even here in Federal Capital Territory, where I speak from, how many of the buses are on the roads? Yes, there are bus terminals here and there. Like I was joking with someone 2 weeks ago. I said there are bus terminals everywhere. But where are the buses? So the truth is, until citizens reduce their focus on federal government, and we all take our time to begin to challenge our state governors, this thing will not change. Agriculture, for instance, I am one of those who believe very strongly that the federal government has no business in agriculture. At best, they can help with regards to policy. But in all the states, as we speak today, maybe I saw Niger State trying to do a few things with regards to agriculture. Apart from Niger, and apart from Kebbi and Lagos that went into collaboration, to grow, to farm rice, I am not sure there are more than 5 states in this country that have invested heavily on agriculture. So I will challenge citizens to take more time to take their governors and their local government chairmen to task. We should stop, not necessarily stop being satellite on federal government, but we should concentrate more energy on the state, because it is only through the states that we can see the effects and benefits of this subsidy removal.
Now, you did talk about agriculture. Well, let's look at other issues like key social indicators, school enrollment, completion rates, primary healthcare access, mortality rates are still low. If you look at the country average, because you said it won't be nice to just lump all of them, but I mean, we are dealing with the law of averages here. We still have a monumental amount of students, of children that are out of school, and it seems to be growing year on year. But if you look at the line items of budgets that have been passed by a lot of states this year for 2026, you see that lip service is only paid to sectors like education and health, whereas a lot of the chunk of the budget goes into projects like buying cars and, subsidizing the lifestyle of these public officials. Where did we get it wrong, and how can we change that? Because it seems to be a culture, because if you fast forward to 2027 budgets, you would almost see the same thing playing out. It's as if the citizens are not a priority when it comes to governance in Nigeria.
Well, we got it wrong from our leadership recruitment process. In this country, only very few of us try to interrogate the credentials of those aspiring to lead us. I am aware that a few states have made tremendous effort with regards to primary health care and education. Whereas there are some states who only pay lip service to these sectors. I know of a state, for instance, when the governor came in, the first thing he did, he claimed that the process of recruiting some health workers and teachers were not proper. And so the next thing he did was to fire 1,500 teachers that were employed by its predecessor. He also fired about 250 health workers that were recruited by its predecessor. Now, 3 years down the line, this same governor has not recruited one single teacher, even though they advertised for recruitment and even collected 3,000 naira each from hundreds of thousands of applicants. And as we speak, not a single teacher has been employed. In this particular state I'm talking about, up to this moment, not a single classroom has been built. And the man presiding over the affairs of this state, at the last count, had traveled abroad either for weddings or in the name of going to seek investors about 10 times. Now, in all of these journeys, there is nothing that you can pin down as being the positive effects of either the investment drive that he claimed to have embarked upon or otherwise. But most often, the citizens in all these states look away. Focus is usually on federal government. And so until citizens take on the gauntlet to ensure that their various state governors are accountable, we may never make headway. Look at Enugu State, for instance. I had cause to visit Enugu State twice in the last 2 years or so. I am impressed by the leadership that that governor is providing. I'm aware that that state has embarked on construction of smart schools, and we have seen some of them materialize. You see, when you see a man that means business, you look at his actions and inactions. When the governor of Anambra State last week decided that he was going to put an end to this usual Monday sit at home, I told one of my colleagues that he's probably taking a cue from the Enugu State governor. Well, Enugu State governor was the first governor in that zone who insisted that the sit at home on Monday must stop. And that is leadership. Leadership is about courage. Courage is leadership. So until Nigerians decide to focus more on what happens in their various states, we may never make any headway. Because so long as we continue to concentrate our attention on the federal government, we allow the state governors to continue to do as they like. If you go and look at the budgets, if you look at what they budget for entertainment, you look at what they budget for traveling, in most of the states, what they spend on recurrent expenditure and other frivolities are usually more than what they are supposed to spend on capital projects, on projects that will have direct impact on the citizen. What some of them are also doing smartly these days is to embark on road construction. I agree that we need infrastructure development, but then we must set our priorities right. For instance, what will a state where maybe the percentage of traffic within the metropolis is nothing compared to Lagos, Port Harcourt, and maybe Kano. be doing with 5 flyovers at the same time. Whereas there are rural roads that can be either reconstructed, so as to enable farmers to bring their produce closer to the people. So we must engage them to ensure that they get their priorities right.
So what ways, I mean, you've spoken so highly about your pleasant surprise in Enugu State and how you're very impressed by the leadership of Peter Mba. You also talked about how the Anambra State governor is taking leadership, personal with ending the sit-at-home order. And now you've also said that citizens should hold their governors to account. These same governors that are running to, the center waiting for federal allocations, that until citizens hold their governors to account. What practical ways can citizens hold governors to account? Beyond looking out for the developments and checking if the roads have been done,
waiting for electoral cycles.
Exactly, waiting for elections to either kick them out or replace them. What practical ways can citizens hold governors to account?
For instance, at the start of every election cycle, they make promises. Some will call it 5-point agenda, some will call it 7-point agenda. Whatever promises they make, itemize them one after the other. Thankfully, in this era of digital media, with just 1 or 2 punches, you get some of these things. Now, in the first year, what did Governor A promise to do? We now look at the budget. Within the budget, has there been provision to tally with the promises made by Governor A? The moment we discover any gap, we must begin to advocate. We must begin to shout. And these days, the traditional media, knowing fully that there are citizen journalists, they can no longer keep bad story or what we refer to as bad news too long from the members of the public. Experience have also shown that some of these governors, once you point out some of their inadequacies, especially through the digital media, there are a few of them who are very responsible, who are also conscious of their name, who try as much as possible to make amends. Some will come out openly to admit their errors. Some will not openly admit, but you will see them make efforts to want to correct some of the things you have pointed out. So, one practical means of doing that is to ensure that the citizens speak out about whatever it they may be experiencing in their various states.
Okay. All right. I'm also told that we do have financial analyst who has joined us in this conversation, Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed. Thank you so much for being here. Let's bring you into this conversation right now. We just mentioned 9 trillion naira, and it seems like governors are beating themselves all over to prove to citizens that they are working. For some other governors, like many have said, it doesn't really matter if they are or they aren't. But Nigeria is currently the 8th largest global growth contributor, according to IMF. Yet we see a sachet economy, as it were, a case where people buy basic goods in tiny fractions. I'm going to bring you in on this note. Why do you think this 9 trillion naira macro gain is failing to reach the micro level? Because there's more money. If you talk to the presidency, they say we're making more money. The governors are getting more money. And then there's the autonomy. Talk about the local government as well. But why is it that we're still at this level, looking impoverished on the inside, but looking beautiful on the outside?
Having me this morning. I think we have to put a clarity, because sometimes the government will tell you that, the governors will tell you that 2 years ago, the money they got is more than what they are getting now. I mean, it's less than what they are getting now because, again, they will tell you the interest rate at that time was about between 750 to 1,000. Now you're having an interest at about 1,400. So they will tell you that they are not really, it's just what we call in investment term paper money. But in terms of the real value, they don't seem to have that real value. That's what they will tell you. Now, why have we not seen the kind of results that we're supposed to see? I think, number one, the people also are not holding government accountable in terms of projects, in terms of following budgetary allocation, in terms of following what have been earmarked for what, especially now the local government. We are so full of taking care of the federal government, all our emphasis, attentions on the federal government. But we are not looking at the local government, we are not looking at the state government. Like they said, they've actually improved in revenue in terms of from the Federation Account and even internal generated revenue. Like a state like Lagos keep telling you about the improvement that they have in terms of internal generated revenue. And again, since the removal of subsidy, we have seen that also improve. But just this morning, you are hearing that the federal government is trying also to remove about 3-point-something trillion from the state government in the area of subsidy payment also for electricity. So we might come back to that stage again whereby you are seeing them begin to give excuse that they are not receiving so much because of subsidy payment for electricity. So I think the challenge here is all about governance, like we say in the investment corporate governance in investment. I think we have not seen leadership in terms of management of these resources. Rather, when government see these resources, they use it as an avenue to begin to go for after white elephant project like building of hostels, airport, instead of building of schools, instead of taking care of healthcare. You see them travel abroad to go and study what is happening in China to duplicate it rather than facing the challenges that people have here. I think it's lack of priority, lack of governance, and again, we seem to be lost in what we are there to achieve because most of these governors do not have a plan before they became governors. So when they go in there, they are beginning to ask themselves, okay, what can we do now? Rather than what have we decided that we will do even before we came to power.
Now, staying with you, Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, how can we make states more viable and make them look inwards? Because if you remember, in the First Republic, when we had the regions, every other region had their strength. You had the granite pyramids in Kano, you had the cocoa in the West. But we have a situation where governors, quite a number of governors, these days are just happy to wait for the end of the month, go cap in hand to collect federal allocation from Abuja and do the barest minimum. A lot of them are more interested in, the fellow panelists did highlight, in cotton ribbons and flyovers in a state that doesn't even have so much vehicular traffic. So how do we begin to adjust this anomaly? He suggested that the people need to look better and deeper into its recruitment process for leaders, for those, they need to scrutinize those who are coming up for elections. Where do we fix this anomaly? What suggestions do you have? Because we can't go on like this.
Unfortunately, to fix these anomalies, you have to go through the Constitution. And that's where the challenge has been. Because if you look at resources, no state owns any natural resources. It's on the exclusive right. It belongs to the state governors. To the federal government. So no state can tell you that we see there's oil brought in our state. We would definitely own it. PIB bill have been passed, but even when you look at that bill, it's still the federal government that control last chunk of whatever happened to the natural resources, whether the mining that are happening that are causing insecurity and all that. So we need to go to the Constitution to say, okay, at that time, every region that, like you just pointed out, every region was able to develop their own resources because of the Constitution that was given. But now it's an exclusive right for the federal government to develop those resources. So what you see from the state government is internal generated revenue. And sometimes when you look at their internal generated revenue, is by taxing the already taxed or overtaxing the most productive sector of their economy, that is going to in the informal sector, collecting levies from market women, collecting levies from dispatch rider, collecting levies from smaller businesses, and shutting down smaller businesses and telling them they're infringement in tax collection and that. So because it seems that everything is concentrated on the center. So for do that, we need to look at how we can begin to look at that exclusive right whereby every natural resources in any part of the world belongs to the federal government. We'll begin to see how state government also will have percentage, if not even exclusively. And that we've seen that in the Niger Delta, even if we have not seen commissary results with it in terms of the derivation funds. But then I think we can't use that as a means that, oh, we don't have to do that with other states. We need to look at it critically. I think the president, when he was governor, fight for resource control. I hope this time that he's president, he will be able to say, look, let's allow states begin to control their resources so that they can also be able to generate electricity for their citizens and collect also levies from their citizens pay to the electricity. So government will begin to look at where they can go into business. But even if I have my doubts, when it comes to government being in business, I always say something. It's not in the business of government to be in business, but it's the business of government to create the enabling environment, and they can become shareholders in those business and be able to use that to develop infrastructure to grow those business. So I still stand by that, but I think if we want to have those change of those narrative, even if the people are involved, then the federal government must look at that exclusive right to be the owner of any natural resources that is found in any part of this country.
Still staying with you, Mr. Mukhtar. Our earlier guest shared about how very impressed he is with some states. He talked about how citizens must hold the governors accountable. We can't keep waiting for the president or waiting to, for the federal account and just ensuring that every blame goes to the federal level. But we must also make sure that we hold the state level to account. He made reference to Enugu State, saying that he was impressed by the leadership of the governor there, as well as Anambra State, especially with the recent ending of the sit-at-home order. From your analysis or your perspective, are there any states that you think should be model examples of how, fiscal management or fiscal responsibility has been properly handled in these states? Are there any model states you can share with us?
I think Abia State is one. I think because, again, you look at the governor, and that's why I said he knew what he wanted as a private sector man. You see how that state has developed. He has looked at the up of that state in terms of looking at where this state really have advantage, and he looked at Aba. So he was able to develop that state. That's part of there because it seemed like the engine room of the Southeast economy, trying to provide infrastructure, remove barriers like illegal collection of levies from smaller businesses, begin to create create a buzz around that. Also empowering the citizens also in terms of agriculture and also going to rural development. So I think that's one state that everybody, with the little resources that you have, but if you look at it, you realize that this is a governor that also is partnering with the private sector because it's a private sector driven person. So I think that's one state to eliminate. If you go to the north, you have to also look at Kaduna State with what Ubasani has been able to achieve in terms of security, even if now we are seeing sketches of fight left side, kidnapping within those states, but those are soft target. You could see the way you are beginning to build infrastructure, bringing in the south and the north together. I've been to that state. I've seen a lot of improvement in terms of infrastructure between states, the state governor, and also in terms of relationship, bringing cordial relationship between the southern part and the northern part, and also taking development to every part of the state. I think that's another state to eliminate. And if you look at that state now, their internet-generated revenue has drastically improved without overburdening, overtaxing, because the people are beginning to see what they are able to do with them. I think for me, those two states, Enugu State, you've talked about it. Anambra State, yes, we've seen what Governor Soludo have done in terms of the sit-at-home order. Even if we also think that the way he went about it, harassing smaller businesses, was not really the best. But at last, he has achieved the result. But in achieving that result, he had to come to the table with the people, with the traders. And I think that's what we should learn. It's not that we are not in dictatorship or we're not in military era whereby you can give an order. You need to sit down with the people. That's what democracy. You need to talk to the people. That's where you're able to achieve result. I think he achieved result when he sat down with the unions and he spoke to them and assured them that security will be provided. So for me, I think those are the states that we can look at and be very proud of what they are doing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed. I'd like Mr. Omipidon to have the final say before we wrap up. today's conversation. Let's talk about the local governments. President Tinubu has been pushing for local government autonomy. The Supreme Court did a weigh-in, but we're seeing a lot of foot dragging. Mr. Omipido, how important is it for us to get local governments, all 774 of them, that are impactful and they react to the yearnings and aspirations of their people and also have true autonomy?
Important to get that because don't forget that both in theory and practice, the local government is the closest, to the people at the grassroots. And if you take Lagos, for instance, if you look at what the local governments are doing in Lagos State, you agree with me that if you have local government autonomy the way it ought to be, the people will enjoy good governance because, it's easy when the local government chairman is not doing well. The citizens can besiege his office and he knows the implication of that. Therefore, he will want to do the best he can to make sure that it delivers dividends of democracy to the people. I agree with you and most Nigerians that the federal government is foot dragging, not only on local government autonomy, but even on state policing. Because at the last count, virtually all the states, including the FCT, had subscribed to state policing. Why it is taking the federal government this long to activate that process baffles me. Again, local government autonomy, you heard what Mr. President said last year during one of its interactive sessions with the governors. It means that he knows what is happening because he told them that, look, if they don't do the right thing, he may be forced to wait. The only reason why the president may be foot dragging is because of 2027. Because you need the buy-in and the support of these governors to mobilize and canvass votes for you. But we should not be doing that at the detriment of the Nigerian masses.
All right.
I agree with my colleague. I have not been to Abia since the current governor became governor, but have read a lot about the happenings in Abia, but have worked and lived in Kaduna State, and so I can attest to some of the things he said about Kaduna, and whatever credit we are giving to Obasani in Kaduna State, we must extend similar gesture to Malam Nasir El-Rufai because he laid the foundation. Okay. He attracted investment to the state, although his politics was a bit, awkward for me because the attempt to eliminate some certain parts, of the state.
All right,
Mr. For me, was not encouraging.
All right.
But the current governor has been able to bring, everybody together, and that is why today, Southern Kaduna, that has always been known as a fortress of the PDP, an area where they formally declare APC enemy of the Christian community, surprisingly, have not embraced the APC.
All right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Omipido and Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, for your time and insights this morning on Breakfast Central. We do appreciate. Thank you.
The pleasure, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, let's tell you what's coming up next here on Breakfast Central. President Bola Tinubu asked Wike to halt Governor Fubara impeachment. We'll look at Wike's PDP faction as they schedule their national convention to hold in March. And we'll look at aid funding as it drops. UN explores domestic funding too. Stay here.
The Wike-led faction of the People's Democratic Party has announced its national convention for March 2026. This comes after months of internal wrangling, dissolutions of zonal leaderships, and court battles over legitimacy. The convention is expected to elect a new national working committee of the party, according to the faction.
The big question on the lips of Nigerians is this a step forward? Is this a step towards unity? or a deeper fracture in the party? Will this convention strengthen PDP as a credible opposition ahead of 2027, or will it cement more divisions within its fold?
Power to the people. Members of the Board of Trustees of our great party, members of the press, esteemed leaders of our great party, it is with gratitude to Almighty Allah and a deep sense of honor that I welcome the Board of Trustees members of this important meeting of our great party, the People's Democratic Party. May I say happy new month to all of us. Let me begin by appreciating our board chairman and secretary and all members for their genuine support to the National Caretaker Committee under my leadership. We cannot take your support for granted. We recognize the burden you carry and acknowledge your firm commitment to the party. I want to also extend my heartfelt gratitude to our leader, the FCT Minister, for standing by us all the time. We are grateful, Your Excellency. Christmas and New Year break is over. It is high time to focus on the mandate given to us as caretaker committee members to put our party on the right track. We have initially waited for the holiday to be over, and now it is time for action. Your Excellencies, you are aware of the declaratory judgment by the Ibadan High Court in our favor. The law is simple and unambiguous, and we shall continue to pursue justice for our great party. Any moment from now, we shall rule out timetable for activities that has to do with the outstanding congresses in some states that will usher in seamless national convention. The People's Democratic Party remains the only party that is built and centered on people with structure, national coherence, and verifiable legacies. We can.
It's the only opposition party we have in this country. Go to all the wars. Go to all the wars. All the units. All the heads. What? PDP. Forget about this is a cherry. You know, all these people, they come from here, they come from here. They have no identity.
The first thing I want to say is in Yoruba land, we always say that if you see a house or a compound that is peaceful, the vagabond in that house has not grown up. The vagabond in PDP, they grew up in 2015, they had their time, and 10 years, a decade, they practice their vagabondsy in the PDP. But they have been expelled in November 2025. So no more vagabond in PDP.
Well, so there you have it. We heard from the PDP National Executive Committee, the FCT Minister, and of course the Governor of Oyo State. Now, join us this morning for this discussion, the two top chieftains of the People's Democratic Party, former Special Advisor to President Goodluck Jonathan and member of the PDP, Comrade Jude Magwe, and also Mazi Dixon Iregbu. I'd like to start with Mazi Dixon Iregbu. Mazi Dixon Iregbu, you honored us with your presence immediately after the Ibadan convention a few months ago, and you sounded triumphant. It seems like the dark days of the People's Democratic Party were over following the expulsion and the successful convention that was held in Ibadan. But the courts have decided otherwise, and the Wike faction is insisting on going ahead with another convention. What do you make of this latest development in your party, the People's Democratic Party?
Good morning, and thank you for having me once again. Yes, I have appeared on this platform and discussed my party, and will always be available to discuss my party with all pleasure. The convention that held in Ibadan, for us, the members of the People's Democratic Party, that is about the best thing that happened to our party. We had a group of people who thought they could derail the drive, the prosperous future of the party and all that. So, and at that convention, which they did everything possible to stop, because their mission was to ensure that that convention never held. And thank God, the resilience of the people and the commitment of the party faithfuls to rescue the party and indeed give it a proper direction, that convention did hold. Now, the recent court judgment where the leadership of the party, that is KT Taminu Turaki, SAN, applied to court for the court to compel INEC to recognize the new NWC. And of course, these rascally members who were expelled from the party, rascally former members of the party who have been expelled from the party, sought to be joined in the suit, and the court became a Father Christmas by not granting the request of the Taminu Turaki leadership, but rather awarded what was not requested for in court, and that is where the joke is, where court became a Father Christmas and granted a group of people who said they are caretaker, whatever I don't know about. That's definitely not PDP. Well, the processes are on. The victory of the PDP cannot be stopped by a group of people who the public, including the media, know where they stand. We all know that this crop of people have declared their interest, but because of a system that allows for this level of impunity to thrive, you can see that gathering and all of that in the name of Nyesom Wike, who is no more a member of the party himself, and 10 others were expelled. So that's just a gathering of the expelled members of PDP and their friends. They are proposed, whatever they call it, convention or whatever. That's a huge joke, being taken too far, because what locus do you have to gather in the name of PDP? But like I said, the process of redeeming the party is on. We're still in court. That judgment from Ibadan has since been appealed, and of course, stay of execution also activated and all that. So they're just jokers. And to imagine that these are the people that held sway once as leaders, in our party, adults, behaving as though they are children. You wonder what examples are they leaving behind for their children, when they can be dancing this shameless dance and all of that in the name of playing politics. It's unfortunate how, when they say you can never know the true character of any human being, only when the person has money or when the person is giving money or giving power. We have seen it in Nyesom Wike that people can indeed get drunk in power. People can get carried away and begin to carry themselves as though they are bigger than the larger society. PDP is bigger than any individual, and this crop of people, they cannot stop the People's Democratic Party, except, of course, the judiciary affirms that, all of what has been said about them is by their confirmation true. Because if they continue in this direction, there may be no image left for the judiciary. The Supreme Court has ruled clearly that political party leadership is not justiciable. Because it is not justiciable, why then will a group of people think that they can hold the party down by going to court to derail the leadership and all that. It cannot stand. It's an illegality that only is surviving because the current leadership is enabling, that is the President Tinubu's administration is enabling all sorts of rascality in the country in the name of playing politics. It's unfortunate, very unfortunate.
We get the sense of what you are driving at, and if I were to summarize it lightly, I would say that you're likening what's happening with the Wike faction to a soap opera, maybe back in the day, Binta and Friends. Let's have Comrade Judy Magwe react.
It's a bad script, a badly written soap opera.
Okay, so let's have Comrade.
Badly written script.
Well, the Binta and Friends I was referencing wasn't really badly written. It was just very entertaining. But
that's what I'm saying. This one is a bad. I'm a filmmaker, so I can understand when the script is right. Okay. These actors are bad actors, and they are acting a very horrible script.
Do you agree with him, Comrade Magwe?
My dear William, good morning. Benga, good morning. And then Joe, good morning.
Good morning.
Dixon, good morning. It's actually very funny. Yeah, it's actually very funny to sit down and see Dixon speak like this. First, there are some choice of words that he used that I found very disturbing. Dixon worked with me while I was advisor to the President of Youth and Students Matter. So I didn't see this character of him, and as unfortunate as it is, I will leave that for some other day. It is not today for me to discuss personal issue or have people. My concern, Olive, like you mentioned, that whether do I agree with, I totally do not think. If you remember on this very platform of yours, I wrote the first letter that ignited the crisis about leadership misbehavior, leadership rascality, and an abandonment of the leadership as then led by Damagu of the People's Democratic Party. Now, for the purpose of clarity, people should not think that emotions translate into constitutionality. Or people should not, for the fact that they hate one person, or they have deep grievances or dissenting or hatred, bitterness with one person's character, suggests that every other processes that surrounds what stands is wrong. I take a total exception to all what Dixon had mentioned. One, every party is founded by the guidance of its constitution, which is this document. You cannot operate without constitution. As much as this constitution guides your party is also not an exclusion from the society. It therefore means, again, because it's a political issue, it is also guided, it derives its strengths, particularly as it has to do with elections and convention. It therefore derives its strength from the Electoral Act of Nigeria 2022 as amended. The Electoral Act again derives its strength from the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It therefore means every organization, including your agency, should they want to do anything that is ethical, that has the face of constitutionality and must be respected, must follow first its own constitution. Secondly, follow the constitution that guides the process that leads its own constitution to the actualization of that process. Then the third, what is the law of the land saying? My brother, see, without being economical with the truth and without having emotions, see, I do not want to sit and say, because one man, people don't like one man, I'll say, since they don't like him, the thing that is all doing is wrong. No, you don't like him, you don't like him. What we are discussing is different from what his personality is. Did our party, PDP, respect our own constitution first before going for convention? The answer is no. Okay. The second aspect of it, what does the Electoral Act 22, section 82 of it? It was very clear about how congresses and conventions can be held.
All right.
Section.
Sorry, Olive. We have to go on a very quick break. A very quick break. And when we come back, you expand further on how the PDP did not respect its constitution and the provision of the Electoral Act that you're making reference to. We'll discuss that after the break.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Before we went on the break, we're speaking about the PDP and the drama going on within the party. The Wike faction is set to have its convention in a couple of weeks. So we're joined by Comrade Jude Imagwe this morning, and we also have Mazi
Dixon Iregu.
Thank you very much for that clarification. Now, before we went on the break, Comrade Imagwe, you were speaking about, one, you said the PDP did not follow its own constitution before the Congress, and then you were also expanding on the provision of the Electoral Act. May you please go ahead on that?
Olive. Now, see, before we proceed into that, it is usually not too fair for you to say Wike PDP. There is no Wike PDP. There is a People's Democratic Party. What the court said before today and today did not say Wike. The court said People's Democratic Party. So you don't misinform the public by saying Wike does not have any PDP. There is People's Democratic Party. So that is clear. Now back to it, my dear. Before the Ibadan gathering, there was a court substituting court order instituted by chairman of local states of the People's Democratic Party. Now you cannot go into a convention with caretaker. And as at the time they were planning that gathering, we had over 16 states that were still under caretaker. Chairman of those states approached the court and said, if you go ahead with this convention, you are denying our states from participation in the convention because caretaker do not have a place in the convention to vote. They approached the court, and the court gave a judgment. The court did not give an order. The court gave a judgment. There is difference between an order and a judgment. When a judgment is given, I am not a lawyer, but I am learned enough to an extent, and at least I practiced student unionism as a parliamentarian throughout my days in the university. Once a judgment is given, it must be respected. What did that judgment say? The judgment said, please, everything that concerns your convention, put it to hold. Go and address these issues, these fundamental issues that are also part of your constitutional requirement, your own party's constitutional requirement. Go and address them. What I expected, that a sensible sense of people that needed to lead the party to the place they choose to want to lead it to would have done was, my dear, it would not have taken us 4 working days to have this issue addressed. And I advised on this. If you leave on Wednesday, conduct world congresses on Thursday. That same team conducts local government congress on Friday. And on Saturday, they conduct state congresses. We would have solved the problem. Now you can go back to the court and tell the court that that which you used as a limiting factor from us to conducting our convention has been addressed. Then we can go. You jettisoned it. You rather went to Oyo and collected an ex partes order. An ex partes order and a judgment are totally two different things. People must learn these things. The second leg of it is a former member, a BOT member, and a NEC member, a former governor of Jigawa State, Governor Sule Lamido, approached the court and said, I want to contest an election, but these people are denying me the right to contest. On the basis of that, I do not think if they go ahead with that convention, my right has been protected. Another judgment, not order, another judgment said based on this man's right, it's an infringement on his fundamental human right, his right of expression and his right to contest. On the basis of that, nobody should go ahead with anything until this issue is addressed. When you appeal a case, you wait for the outcome of the appeal. You don't go through the back to do something different. Now they still went ahead. But before they even went ahead to that place for that early Christmas gathering, they constituted their own, the BOT that they were answerable to, constituted a reconciliation committee. That BOT, that committee advised that please do not proceed. Let us come back and see how we can gather ourselves and approach convention as a united PDP in our family. They said no. The former Senate President, former governor of Kwara State, former chairman of Governors Forum, Senator Bukola Saraki, said, please, I am advising do not approach this convention? Can we sit down as a family and solve these problems before we go for convention? All these things fell on deaf ear. Let us assume that these persons do not mean anything. The chairman of the convention committee, the governor of Adamawa State, Governor Fintiri, at the venue of the convention, haven't observed that first, Section 82 of the INEC Electoral Act says clearly, INEC was very clear about it. INEC, Congresses cannot be valid. Congresses cannot be valid. Section 82, Article 2 of it says a Congress cannot be valid unless INEC is given an unrestrained access to monitor the process. INEC official must be present at the venue and throughout the Congress. If INEC is prevented from monitoring, the outcome is invalid. I did not say so, my dear. Check the Electoral Act. That is what the Electoral Act says. So people should not bring emotions into conversation. There is also a section of the Electoral Act that says, a Congress, sorry, so that I can just take this thing and start remembering my thoughts.
Mr. Bagwe. All right, Mr. Bagwe, let's get a response from Mazi.
But can I land on my thought, please? When he was speaking...
All right, go ahead,
excuse me.
But
when he was speaking, I was quiet, and you gave him all the opportunity to express himself. I will be very pleased if you can accord me that respect, please.
I can, but please, you just need to use... let's use the time.
Thank you.
Let's use time quickly.
Section 4 of it said, adherence to democratic principle. The Electoral Act. It states clearly, a Congress must reflect internal democracy, equal opportunity for aspirants, no imposition of candidates, no exclusion of eligible member, open and transparent delegate decision. It says where there is an exclusion, the Congress is null and void, as repeated and affirmed by Nigeria's court. So when we look, I can go ahead to read a whole lot of what the Electoral Act says and where we on ourselves have shot ourselves on the leg. But see, let me land on this thought. You know why I said we should not allow emotions to become the judgment of the strength we have. And I heard Dixon said, call people naturally. He would not have called them such name, rascal. I would not reduce myself to that level to insult people that I know by all definition they are older than me. I call them that respect. For whatever behavior they are demonstrating today, they are humans. They have the right to demonstrate such behavior and carry it to the extent at which they want to carry it. But it is for future and history to remember them for how they acted. But for emotions not to lead us, I will tell you clearly, and I'll say it without contradiction. If the Governor Wike and FCT minister that everybody is shouting today was part of Ibadan Convention, I will tell you without contradiction, they would have also said that Ibadan Convention was not right. You know why? They are not looking at the process. They are looking at the man. And you cannot say you want to correct something and raise another thing. What was the concern? If you do not like Wike, the same letter I wrote, correct the processes that gives any person an opportunity to hold strong the party. You say you do not like Wike. Let us agree, though we are not conceding. That is the problem. Now, you went to convention in Ibadan. You again that is leading that convention is ascribing the office of the National Secretary to yourself. And you gave your own person. If, for instance, Governor Sheyi of Oyo wakes up tomorrow and says he wants to be presidential candidate, and Tenimu Turaki says he doesn't want him to be presidential candidate, and he goes back to use the same instrumentality of his secretary that he has produced to begin to cause problem. Have we solved the problem? We haven't solved the problem, and this is still my own concern. My concern is we cannot allow people choose for us who will lead us in the party. Tenimu Turaki is a fine man, is sound. If he's a product of a transparent, unified Congress, I will be more than glad. Mr. Magwe, is somebody I hold a high respect for, but he must be a product of a process that is transparent, a process that is...
All right, Mr. Bagwe,
I'm sorry, I have to
we have to interrupt at this point. We're so sorry.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to manage time. We have to bring in...
Yeah, we just have to manage time.
Yeah, we have to manage time. But I think we get your point. We have one more person who has to join the conversation. We have Honorable Kingsley Odu who joins us now. Good morning, Mr. Odu. Thank you very much for Mr. Collins Odu, thank you for joining us this morning on the conversation. I'm sure that you've been listening to both parties who have shared their thoughts with Mr. Mazi Urebu, who of course has said that what's happening with Mr. Honorable Wike, the Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is a joke. And we've seen Mr. Imagwe, who has spoken so strongly in defense of that. Let's get your thoughts on, some of the points that have been made.
Okay, good morning and thanks for having me. Thanks for that correction, Collins Odu. Okay, I want to buy the idea of the special advisor, Jude, to say that sentiments cannot override facts. We cannot begin to whip up sentiments on the happenings in our party. He mentioned all the areas where our party failed to live up to expectations in terms of the requirements from the Constitution, our party Constitution, and the Electoral Act. All that he said are very convincing and clear to the dumb and deaf. So I don't know from what angle Mazi Urebu is whipping up his sentiments. I think that he would better do that to his family than bring that to the Jude too. To have been very minimal, and as he has comported himself in use of languages to describe a person like the Honorable Minister of the FCT as a rascal is most unfortunate on a national television, because you are holding a position different from his. You begin to tarnish the image of a very respected Nigerian, a workaholic. And let me not go by praises, but I think that people should mind the utterances when in national...
Honorable Collins. Honorable, thank you so much for that point. I'm afraid I just need to mention, we'll try as much as possible to please manage our time, because we don't have enough time. You're going to respond, but we need to go on a quick break. Let's pay the bills so that we can keep having the conversations like this. We'll be right back. Stay with us, please. Thanks so much for staying with us. We're taking a look at the PDP as a political party, the infractions, and not forgetting two conventions, one set to hold in March, the other one held last year. Yet the judge, or better say you could say the law, is what we are also debating. The constitutional rights of the political party internally and that which governs the party. There's also a statement that Nigeria's judiciary had said they have no business with dealing with political parties concerning their internal issues. But yet again, we did see statements that were made from the judiciary concerning the PDP especially. And the PDP members, some factions have said there are particular judges who are always judging the PDP matters, and they always do that to the benefit of the FCT minister. Well, our guests here are, most importantly, we have Mr. Jude Imagwe, who is a special advisor, former special advisor to the former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. We also have Mazi Urebu, who happens to be a PDP member, a chieftain as well. And then we have Honorable Collins Odu, who is joining us as well, former River State House of Assembly member. But let me go straight to the man in the middle, right there on the screen, which happens to be Mazi Urebu. Just before we went on the break, you did hear from the two sides, the two gentlemen on your left and your right. What's your reaction? And what do you make of the fact that the judiciary isn't helping the situation, if you think it is?
First, thank you again. I'm not the one expressing emotion. It's clear. I'm sure the viewers will identify who is expressing emotion and all of that. I'm staying on the issues that affect the People's Democratic Party. Responding to Comrade Jude Imagwe, clearly he reeled out some things, but not all the facts. The Electoral Act, clearly, what it mandates a political party to do is the 21 days notification. the aspect of convention holding and INEC being there is optional. If INEC chose not to be there, the Electoral Act did not say that INEC must be there, so that we don't misinform the public. And at the 101 convention
for you to misinform the public about electoral acts.
Excuse me, please, can I have my floor?
No, you see, you cannot misinform the public with electoral acts.
If you may please allow him to speak.
Party constitution. I have the floor, please. I have the floor. Now, at the 101 neck of the PDP, where the date for that convention was announced, INEC was present. And of course, INEC was communicated to within that 21 days window provision. And then, of course, yes, there were 2 court cases that people loyal to Nyesom Wike, as clearly as both of you are loyal to him, went to court. That is Imo State chairman, PDP Imo chairman, and PDP Abia chairman, and George Turner. These are the 3 people that went to court. These are loyalists of Nyesom Wike. And of course, you are aware that the PDP has written to the agency saying there are a group of judges that every time we have a case, you assign our case to them. And these people appear to be biased against us in favor of Nyesom Wike, but that has not been listened to. I have never referred Nyesom Wike as a rascal. If you're calling him a rascal, that's your own word. What I said is that the acts are rascally. These are political rascality being taken too far, and that what they are planning is a huge joke. So if you have decided to now confine it to Nyesom Wike, it's allowed. After all, his activities are in the public domain, and every Nigerian can attest to the excesses of the FCT minister, because look at my brother from Rivers. How is Rivers today, where one man is said to be a member of PDP and a member of APC? This is not a banana republic. This is not a jungle. Nigeria is still governed by rules, and the game we are playing is politics. It has rules also. You can't be there and here. You must choose a position. The People's Democratic Party did everything to make sure that those who have sworn that they are going to stop the party from making progress politically in 2027, that they are not allowed to succeed. So that when the party was planning the convention and did everything possible to ensure that those crop of people who are obviously detractors are not allowed to succeed. And somebody is now saying, oh, that we are being emotional. What is being emotional? Only a tree will be told, I will cut you down tomorrow, and you'll stand there. The PDP has done everything to save itself. Now we're in court. So let us exhaust it in court. Every other thing that is being done by this group of expelled members is political rascality taken too far. And I return that because this constitution has given us how that we should conduct ourselves as a political party. And the constitution of Nigeria also, and the Electoral Act you referred to, Comrade Jude, also has given us what to do and what not to do. And the party did comply with all of those angles. That we are having these squabbles, and a group, because they are in power now, think that they can pull the party down from within. Well, unfortunately, the PDP is too big for any one person or a group of few individuals to think that they can derail it. So please, you are the one expressing emotions. You are the one being partisan and biased. So if you have taken a position in that direction, I stand with the PDP as guided by this constitution. So the other angles, please don't put words in my mouth. I maintain my position that what is being done by this group is political rascality being taken too far. That's my position.
Thank you very much. I'd like to bring Comrade back into the conversation. Because of the little time we have left, let's just get straight into it. As we're in towards the 2027 elections and, you know, this new convention coming up, what are the hopes of the People's Democratic Party putting up a formidable challenge against the APC? And will they be fielding a presidential candidate? As you know, the FCT minister has expressly said he has thrown his support behind Mr. President. So what will be the point of going into the convention?
Yeah, thank you. You gave him 5 minutes. I'm going to stick to my 5 minutes. Now, instead to my 5 minutes so that people don't get misinformed.
You don't have 5 minutes. You don't have 5 minutes.
I'm sorry, you don't have. You
I
can
will
use.
stay with, okay, I'll stay with 2 minutes. Let's not drag my time, please. Let's not drag my time.
Please go on. Yes.
So that people outside don't get misinformed. You see, a man that is not informed is deformed. And when you are deformed, you cannot perform. The summary of Electoral Act, what my brother Dixon have all said is emotional because he has not cited any section of anywhere that guided anything they have done. I have cited every section that faulted everything they did, and those sections are valid. But the summary of the Electoral Act, so that people can read it, 12 of it said, and in summary, he said, in summary, a validly elected Congress in Nigeria must satisfy the following. 1, 21 days notice, yes. 2, INEC monitoring. INEC did not. Compliance with party constitution. The party did not comply with their own constitution. Transparent delegate accreditation. That didn't happen. Compliance with Electoral Act. Total disabuse of it. Credible voting, direct or indirect consensus product. That we didn't see. Non-exclusion or imposition of candidate. Jigawa, former governor, has that case in court. Proper documentation and submission of result. That didn't happen. Then you know what the thing has said. If any by law means an iota, any of these things is violated, that Congress becomes invalid and challengeable in court, and INEC may reject the outcome. So when we are talking, we are constitutional people, let us be guided by what gives us power and where we derive our strength. Now back to the 2027. See, if we are honest, like I'll continue to say, those that have been saddled with the responsibility today, the court has given them judgment. I pleaded, go and reach out to everybody. Let us have a unified home. After convention, we'll now begin to look for primaries and who becomes our presidential candidate. But you may be very shocked for me to state today, the only presidential candidate among all of them parading themselves that have actually lived as somebody that has been in an opposition I want to be a presidential candidate is Peter Obi. Forget my emotions, forget my sentiment. That is the only person that have shown opposition. If for any reason PDP constitutes themselves properly and able to bring him, fine. If they are not able to bring him, he seeks a platform and goes for it. But let us be very clear with one final word, my dear. There was a time we had opposition in PDP when we had governors like Governor Wike, who is current FCT minister today, Governor Fayose, Governor Jack Asandan Kwambo, Governor Emmanuel Udom, Governor Otom of Benue State. These governors resisted an incumbent government. They stayed as opposition. Governor Wike provided leadership. Whether you don't like him, he provided leadership. Let us assume all we are not considered, that is the problem. And people now want to become Martin Luther of that group, and they are not providing leadership. Can any of these persons that are saying today they are standing on the path of right challenge this incumbent government the way Governor Fayose, the way Governor Wike challenge Governor President Buhari administration? If they dare it, if they can do it, I will stand tomorrow to say whatever they are doing is right, because therefore I know they are fighting for the people. Well, you cannot be a Martin Luther when you do not have the stamina, you do not have the courage.
Okay, Mr. Magwe.
Leadership comes with two things: stamina and courage. If you don't have the stamina, you don't have the resistance.
Your time is up, I'm afraid. All right.
So please, we are ready for the convention. Everybody should come on board. Let's go for the convention. I'm not asking for anything.
All
right, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. But we have Mr. Odu have the final say. Mr. Odu, let's get your final thoughts as we close out on the conversation.
Yeah, my final thought is the fact that Mazi Rebu is continuously trying to tarnish the image of the Honorable Minister of the FCT. He keeps referring to us as people who are loyal to him. We're only loyal to the party, and we respect the constitution of the party. The Honorable Minister of the FCT has also been following the steps as recommended by the Electoral Act and the Constitution. So I would like him to desist from always trying to tarnish his image. The Honorable Minister is not APC, PDP. The Honorable Minister is PDP, non-PDP. Said that he wanted to support President Bola Tinubu because power having stayed 8 years in the north should be shifted to the south. That is his conviction,
has gone to
and he
the
still
south.
follows it till date.
Since I'm not going to be given a second chance to respond to all of these things that I'm being accused of.
Just hold on, please. Just hold on. Just hold on. Let him go on.
If the party will zone it to the south, why then sacrifice that 4 years that we wanted to have a southerner, and PDP refused to have things switched or done in a zonal form, which made even Governor Seyi Makinde to resist the northern hegemony. So right now, if you have a conviction and he's still following the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who he voted, and the president is performing very well. So this is a man with conviction, and he follows it up. So I would advise him to stick to the issues.
Oh my.
Okay.
You have succeeded in exposing yourself finally, because these are people who said they are going to stay in the party and pull the party down. You cannot say you're a member of the People's Democratic Party and you're supporting the candidate of APC. You cannot do that. You have a right as a citizen of Nigeria to support whoever you want to support, but not while being a member of the People's Democratic Party. So the viewers can now decide for themselves who truly are the true members of the People's Democratic Party. You have exposed yourselves here by all of these things you have said here. Yes, on Wike is working for Tinubu, and he says he's going to stay in PDP and do that. And we are saying it is not possible.
All right.
Can you stick to the rules and not speak when you're not supposed to speak? You are no longer in control of your platform.
Please hold on. We're still in control.
Everyone has had an opportunity.
I'm sure you are no longer in control of it, but that is the clear truth.
No, unfortunately, you can't say that, because being that we are in control, we are going to have to wrap up the conversation.
Somebody cannot just join into conversation.
We have given each of you time to express your concern, and we respect your time, and we thank you very much for joining us to share your thoughts on the conversation this morning. We'll have to go on a break now, gentlemen, and we look forward to having you again. We wish the People's Democratic Party all the best as we count down to 2027 elections. Thank you for your time.
I hope that your best is the best.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll go on a break now. When we come back, we're bringing you breakfast headlines.
With us on Breakfast Central, let's go straight to see what the top stories are on Breakfast headlines. Nigeria's Senate has once again failed to pass the Electoral Act Amendment Bill after a 4.5-hour closed-door session ended without any disclosed decision. Lawmakers met in executive session to deliberate on reports from both the Senate Committee on Electoral Matters and a 7-member ad hoc committee set up to resolve contentious clauses, but emerged in silence. Senate President Godswill Akpabio offered only a summary of discussions before the chamber adjourned, leaving the fate of the bill unclear for the second sitting in a row. The stalled amendments include real-time electronic transmission of results, tougher penalties for electoral offences, and updated provisions reflecting new voting technologies. Let's move on now to another story. Still staying with the Senate. The Senate has called for mandatory stocking of anti-venom and other life-saving antidotes in public and private hospitals across Nigeria following the death of Abuja-based singer Ifunanya Nwagene. Lawmakers also urged state governments and the Federal Capital Territory Administration to establish coordinated emergency referral and response systems to ensure rapid access to critical medicines. The resolution followed a motion sponsored by Senator Idiat Oloranti Adebule, who said delays in assessing anti-venom and emergency drugs during cases such as snake bites, poisoning, and drug overdoses were leading to avoidable deaths. Let's talk politics now. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has declared that he will not allow what he described as vagabonds to hijack the People's Democratic Party or undermine its chances ahead of the 2027 general elections. Makinde spoke while addressing party leaders and members at the newly inaugurated Oyo State PDP Secretariat in Ibadan. He said this administration, or his administration, I beg your pardon, alongside loyal party members, would resist attempts by disgruntled elements to destabilize the party for personal interests or hand power to another political party in the state.
The thing I want to say is in Yoruba land, we always say that if you see a house or a compound that is peaceful, the vagabond in that house has not grown up.
No fewer than 30 people were killed on Tuesday in separate bandit attacks on rural communities in Katsina and Kwara states, triggering fresh displacement and destruction of property. In Katsina state, at least 20 villagers were reportedly killed when gunmen attacked Doma community in Taufoki ward of Faskari local government area. Residents said the assailants invaded the area unchallenged, killing residents and setting houses and vehicles ablaze. Chairman of Faskari local government area, Surajo Aliyu, confirmed the attack, describing it as a reprisal and the deadliest in the area in recent months. He said the victims' bodies had been recovered and burial was scheduled for Wednesday. Let's tell you that the Department of State Services has arraigned former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, and his son, Abdulaziz Malami, before the Federal High Court in Abuja over allegations of terrorism, financing, and illegal possession of firearms. The duo appeared before Justice Joyce Abdul Malik on a 5-count charge. Both defendants were also jointly charged with unlawful possession of firearms. They pleaded not guilty to all charges. The court adjourned the matter to February 20 to hear bail applications and begin trial proceedings. Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, son of Libya's late ruler Muammar Gaddafi, has been killed after gunmen stormed his home in the western town of Zintan, according to his advice and family sources. Reports say 4 armed men disabled surveillance cameras before executing him inside the residence, with no group yet claiming responsibility for the attack. The 53-year-old had been widely viewed as his father's political heir and a political presidential contender despite past ICC charges and a controversial role during the 2011 uprising. Analysts say his death could reshape Libya's fragile political landscape, possibly easing long-standing tensions surrounding stalled elections, while also casting him as a martyr to some supporters. Libya remains deeply divided more than a decade after Gaddafi's fall, with rival administrations in Tripoli and the East struggling to restore stability and national unity. And that's all the news we have for you for this hour. Don't forget to tune in at 12 to join Blessings Masugu on the 12 report. Stay with us. Breakfast Central continues shortly with the front pages of the newspapers.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Thank you for joining us this morning. We have been having a very tough conversation right before Joe Hansen took the breakfast headlines. It was like a little ring in here, and where the referees, or do I say the umpires. But it's time for us to look through the newspapers, and we have public affairs analyst Olusegun Okwade here in the studio with us. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you always.
Morning, Mr. Okwade. Always a pleasure to have you join us.
All right. And I believe that we have Sagir Ibrahim, News Central's correspondent, who's live with us from Yelwata this morning. Good morning, Sagir. Good to have you.
Good morning, Olive.
Sagir, what update do you bring us live from Yelwata this morning?
Good morning, Olive. That you can hear.
Yeah, we can hear you. The network is a bit unclear. All right, but please go on. We can hear you. Please go on. All right, we will try to reconnect.
Right, Olive.
All right,
good morning also to currently I'm at
well, I believe we'll try and track back to Sagir once the network is stable. It's a bit shaky right now, but let's go straight to
our enemies are refusing for that network to work.
Yeah.
Let's get straight into the newspapers, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we should. Let's begin this morning with the Leadership newspaper. On the front page of the Leadership newspaper, the big story this morning says, well, we have there Makinde, Wike, and loggerheads again over PDP. We have Senator Jones without verdict on Electoral Act Amendment Bill. Leadership Award, a push to do more, Governor Ibanji says, and of course there's a big story there, wishing a happy birthday to the MD of Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited. Let's move to the next paper.
So let's go to this Nigeria. Let's see this Nigeria.
Let's move to this Nigeria newspaper. On the front page of this Nigeria, Electoral Act reform, closed door Senate meeting ends in silence. Very important conversation to have. Electronic transmission of results still unresolved. Disagreement over making Beaver's failure a criminal offense. Tougher penalties for vote buying divide senators. FCT at 50. Much has changed in infrastructure. Wike-aligned Tinubu. Minister declares no victor, no vanquished as JUAC calls off strike. DSS arraigns ex-AGF Malami over terror financing and illegal arms. 4 in 10 cancer cases preventable, according to the World Health Organization. That's important because today is the World Cancer Day, where we acknowledge the impact that cancer has had on us as a society. We look at the lives that have been lost, the progress that has been made so far, and the journey. So our heart goes out to those who've lost loved ones from cancer and those who are currently in the journey against cancer. Let's start with Electoral Act reform. This is a conversation that has been ongoing. It says that the closed-door meeting ends in silence. It says that there's been disagreements over making Beaver's failure a criminal offense. Do you think that Beaver's failure should be made a criminal offense?
Yeah, definitely, because that's the foundation upon which the electoral success relies on. That's the level at which you impute, you verify the electorate that will participate in the election. So if the foundation is faulty, like they read in the scripture, they will ask you, what would the righteous do? So if the righteous has nothing to do, you should understand the fact that the wicked, we have the free will of the day. So criminalizing the act, because when Beavers is not working, what you now resort to as either a poly booth is to go manually, which a lot of us know what that entails. A lot of malpractices behind the scene, underage, overage, people that are not impersonation and the likes will not happen. But with Beavers, at least there is a control mechanism of you using your thumbprint to verify it is. So I feel it's something we should make when there is failure. But before you criminalize it on the people that will actually use it, I mean the INEC official, what is the position of INEC themselves in delivering network in all the areas where Beavers will be used? Because part of the excuses that we've been hearing before now is that Beavers is good, but we don't have network connectivity. It's poor. Have we improved on our telecoms infrastructure to really support Beavers? Have we improved on Beavers itself in such a way that we can have some of these things work offline based on the data that is actually uploaded on NET by INEC? But I feel it's something that we need to criminalize so that we can get the foundation right and build the right structure on it for us to have a transparent election process come 2027.
Okay, so let's still look at the front page. You've talked very deeply about the Electoral Act reforms and the disagreement over Beaver's failure. And why that is an important conversation to have is because at the last elections, those were the things that cost issue. Remember when we had Mr.
And I don't think it's over yet. It's just one day of the conversation, so they could still resolve it. And we're hoping for a positive result for the sake of our democracy. Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, of course. And even the second aspect that I was speaking to this electronic transmission of results. I'm sure you know that was what created when this former, even the former senator from Kogi had to stood up while they were given the result and said that could not happen because Siminalayi that was almost acting like a Larrabee of during Jonathan to distort the flow. But to me, I think, then that, so I feel even the electronic transmission of the result. With the level of technology that we have these days, I think our politicians should be committed to seeing how we can implement or write on this thing for transparency. When you say electronic transmission of results, what that does is that it's online real time. As things are happening, you are getting, value for some of those things that are out there, and it will avoid manipulation that people are actually, are suspecting. If we can work on these two items, one, both Beavers, which is the foundation, and making sure that when people vote, you are not having interruption. The other time, I think the former INEC chairman gave an excuse that the porter or the server was almost hacked. That was why they had to put a pause and see the best in which they can do. We can, by now, after 3-4 years, should have actually worked around things and see how we can overcome.
It's enough time to
have
improve
worked
on the systems.
on the system. We gave kudos that was introduced in the 2023 election, and we expect that by now, those things you would have studied it and improve on it, at least to make 2027 much more better than what we had in 2023.
Anyway, let's take a look at DSS arraigns ex-AGF Malami over terror financing illegal arms. It's like this case will not end anytime soon. But before you respond, let's see if we can reconnect with our correspondent, Sergey Ibrahim, who is in Yelwata. Sergey, I'm sure you can hear us and we can hear you too. Kindly give us an update on what's happening there.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, and good morning. Yes, we are currently in Makurdi. This is roundabout right here in Makurdi, the Benue State capital. Yesterday we were at the Yelwata community to see the level of work that's going on there. We saw that on June 13 and June 14, a massacre that led to the loss of lives of around between 100 and 200 persons and the displacement of around 3,000 individuals happened in that community. And because of that, many residents had fled the community. But then we were at Yelwata yesterday to see the level of work that's been going on. I can categorically confirm to you, Joe, Olive, and Tenga, that individuals, residents of the community have begun returning to the community. They have confirmed to us, and we have also confirmed for ourselves that security has improved in that community. There's been a multitude of security installations, soldiers, police, you name it, in the community, and the residents have confirmed to us that they are in fact very, very confident that the security has improved and they can sleep with their two eyes closed. But then the challenges still persist. All is joke bigger. The market was attacked, the market was burnt, and it was in that market that many individuals lost their lives. But unfortunately, that market has not been reduced. That market is the life source of the community because this community is an agrarian community. And for an agrarian community, they need a market to take their goods and produces to sell. If the market is not up and running, it means that even though they go to the farm, they will not be able to take these produces to the market to sell. Talk about the farms. The farms are within the fringes, inside of the forest. Because of the attacks that happened in June of 2025, many individuals couldn't go to their farm. Matter of fact, the community head of the village had confirmed to us that not a single crop was, planted over the course of the many months, that these individuals left the community, which means that livelihood for many members and, of course, many heads of families have been destroyed at this point. Of course, they have been getting support from well-meaning individuals and Nigerians, but the question now is how much this support can go in terms of helping them rebuild and, of course, stimulate the recommencement of businesses in their lives and, of course, farming activities. These are many, of course, issues, some of the things that are making and shaping their situation at the moment. But most importantly is that security is present in the community. There's a lot of the building going on, including the layout that has been earmarked by the government and, of course, given by the local government authority of Duma for the construction of a model community that will assist with the relocation of individuals who were displaced and, of course, were taken to a temporary internally displaced persons camp within the state capital. These and, of course, many more updates will be coming in a subsequent report that will be putting together. It's back to you guys in the studio.
And do stay safe. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, let's go back to the studio and let's go to the topic we're going to look into. DSS arraigns ex-AGF Malami over terror financing illegal arms. His son also there.
You see, this is where I look at when the hunter is being hunted. I remember how powerful Malami was during the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, but now the other is the case. Most of the time, what you hear even from the citizen is this is witch hunting. And I ask myself the question, is proper investigation being done to ascertain the accusation that we have on him? Now they are arranging him to cross-examine the position of things. And this allegation is deep. We are not talking as regard the misappropriation of funds. You know, we read about the number of houses these people actually put together. These are things that weaken the citizen out there. The fact remains that a lot of people believe this country is blessed, but having the resources being spread around structure is the major concern that we are faced with. Somebody is having as much as the number of buildings, all because he served the government for possibly 80 years. So you can imagine so many people in his class that is in the current party who have served the past 80 years, but are in the good books of the current administration and have actually misappropriated our funds, and nothing is actually happening. This is why the citizen will continue to have that trust gap. We want a situation where people who call themselves, you know, leaders, entrusted with the resources that is meant to develop things for the masses, do make use of them judiciously. When this is actually, you see, part of my problem is we are having this discussion now. After a little while, we get distracted and we may not even follow up the story to the end. And that's part of the problem that we have. We start and raise, you know, every news, discuss it. After 2-3 months, another story will come and we'll drop this and we'll be able to follow up. And that's my worry, to see the end of this thing that has started.
We've witnessed the pattern here. And like you said, I mean, this is part of the pattern. We'll discuss, we'll move on to the next big issue. But I want to talk about a disturbing pattern here in the sense of why there are no red lights or early warning systems to prevent these monies from being looted in the first place. If you're a public official, does it automatically mean you have access to the public treasury and you can loot to the billions? Because why are we always reactive, you know, persecution and recovery rather than preventive?
Yeah.
As an accountant, what can they do?
Okay. You know, when Benga put you on the spot, you have to just... the fact remains that we have internal control mechanism. And how much of it do we actually make use of? There are people that are to check that, you know, for every offices, there are limits at which you have approval. Some go as high as saying, okay, for you, this is what you can approve. But what we've seen over time, if you have an approval limit of 10 million and you have a project of 100 million, all you need to do is to break it into...
You approve 10 times.
You 10 times for the same project at different time, and you have all those things because you believe that if you should go to the next level, it's like you are opening up what is not supposed to be. But there are people that are supposed to check. Why are these things like this? And raise the red flag if indeed they have the concern of the populace at hand. And that is the worry. So you can do whatever you like. But if you have understanding that someone is checking those activities and most likely going to flag it, and that's why it's pretty difficult in the private sector. I'm sure if you do anything in this office...
What makes it different in the private sector?
The different aspect of it is that the person at the helm of affair understand that he needs to work with the internal auditor, one, and after every fiscal year, external auditor comes to verify some of the activities that you have done, independent of the internal auditor. So you have two people that you are responsible to as the head of the organization. Well, same is obtainable too in the private sector, in the public sector. But they always have a way around it. And I think part of the problem there is, for the managing director of an organization like this is responsible to the board.
Yeah.
And the board on their own can do and undo. But when you look at those at the end of affair, who are they responsible to? Mr. President that is entrenched with several things that may not be able to pay attention to some of these things. A lot has been said in that respect to say, can we be proactive? Let's tame this thing as it's coming up, you flag it. So you don't allow it to happen. Rather than when it happens,
you are now reacting.
When you react, nothing will come out now.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's quite ironic that a lot of these officials, senior government officials that are fingered in corruption cases are sworn in. Yeah, they take oath of office, but it seems like they don't take that oath seriously. Some take it like it's coca. Maybe they should start using African traditional religion.
That's what someone said now, that those ones don't have mercy like the normal
instant
God.
retributive
so
justice.
That when you do it, maybe use Ailala, use Shango, use all those ones, so that all you need to do when you just carry out the act, you just see rain come from nowhere and there will be thunderstrike.
I remember one time I was in university and somebody lost his phone, just a tiny hand phone. They now went to go and call. I was OAU then. They went to call this Babalawo apprentice. He just came back from a course in South Africa to come and to find out who stole the money. They now say everybody should drink Omiailala. If you are guilty of stealing it, how can you drink that kind of disgusting water?
There is
that your
like
stomach will swell after a few days and then you die.
If you are...
And they bought that water to I said, would you get out of here?
Are you sure you're not the one that sold it for
5,000 naira set.
But 5,000 naira set was actually a big
something.
Maybe those it was something.
What really caught my attention was the Babalawo apprentice came with Air Jordans, just came back from a course in South Africa.
Imported Babalawo.
But he actually need to hype himself to let him know that he's an international.
Maybe that's the way our politicians.
But sincerely speaking, without bringing all those African stuff, you have a conscience as a leader of things that you are supposed to do, commitment that you make to people. That's why we keep saying that if not that the impeachment process is a tall order, you make commitments, to people. There should be timeline to some of this. And so when you feel, maybe at the midpoint of it, we just look for a way to say, can you excuse us some of the things that you've actually promised to the people? You are not fulfilling it. You can give a try at that. So the next person coming, understand, and that you are exiting does not mean we allow you to go. We are going to prune every kobo that actually, you have expended during that time, and you must account for it until we start doing that. That's why we keep saying that we need to build a system. Who are the people to build this system? Look at what actually happened from this Yetewa that we had. It's been reactive. We all know that Benue is the food basket of the nation.
Oh, yeah.
And people are not having access to their farm. So it's not only going to affect Benue, it's going to affect other people that will actually transport some of these food that are supposed. They said since last year, June, the farmers have not been able to go to farm. So when there will be food scarcity, when the food basket of the nation is facing such challenges, what do you expect to other nations, other states that relies solely on some of these things? So I feel government need, where I listen to our correspondent speaking to now that they fortified the area where, with security, after the deed has actually been done. That will not bring alive all the people that have actually been killed. It will even send back signal. Everybody is now afraid to go to market, to go to farm. I'm sure there was one bad incident that happened years back when armed robbers attacked a place and I was in that apartment. Do you know that for years, if I go to that house and I hear the gate, moving the way that incident happened, I always like, are you sure it's not a thief that is coming to attack?
Yes, it's the trauma.
It's the trauma that, so you can imagine people that witnessed the killing in the market at that particular place. When they get to that spot, that thing, you know, will linger in their memory. So government should look for ways to actually be proactive to some of these things to protect the people. It's the cardinal responsibility of the government, as entrenched even in the Constitution, to provide security for every citizen. And once that is done, I can tell you, moving freely in this nation, we give you a lot of impetus to think.
Okay, I want us to go to another paper. Let's go to Al Jazeera midweek and take the front page. Abuja fatal snake bite. Antivenom's availability takes center stage. You talked about
this another being reactive.
I don't know if we have the sort. I said sort. I have the video. We can play it out
of the National Assembly.
National Assembly talking. That's after
giving the marching order.
Yeah, the marching order. Some have said they don't know if they have the power to do so. The Minister of Health is supposed to be the one to put out that statement and push. But if we have that video, but if we don't, Olive, you wanted to ask on, in short, let's just take, what's your take on that?
Well, the fact remains that we're only talking of one out of several. What is the state of other illness that we have? As small as malaria.
I mean, even snake bites are underreported. Yeah.
I'm seeing here from the article that there are about 2,000 reported cases of snake bites yearly. 20,000 rather, with more than 20,000 cases recorded annually. There's 1,700 victims that are left with permanent disabilities, including limb amputations due to delayed medical attention and tissue death. This is according to the National Chairman, National Chairman of Pharmacy, Ambrose Igwekama Eze.
You're saying 20,000 for at least 20,000 for over 200. Do you know the number of bush that we have around us? And this season at which a lot. Do we have a reporting platform at which people can pass that information? It is the one that they possibly hear, you know, around, or those that we don't have a reporting channel or a feedback mechanism as regard things that are actually happening even in the country. So when you're talking of 20, I was thinking you're going to say 20,000 possibly for a state. Then we'll be looking at, okay, maybe, because there are bushes. If you need to travel on our road, this season, I'm sure you know the reason why the snake will come out now. A lot of people, we've said it, this is the time you should try and fumigate, because people burn bushes, and when they do that, the snake look for an hiding place where they have cool, you know, environment, because they are cold-blooded animals. So they look for your toilets, they look for the ceiling where, you know, you pass AC and they want to enjoy parts of the AC that you are enjoying in the house. And when they have stayed there for a little while, they want to carry out their havoc. So this is the period where we ask people to see the best they can do in keeping their environment clean, cutting the bushes and the like, so that at least let's even prevent it from happening. So when they don't have an hidden place within the premises where they can attack the people, possibly they will find themselves.
I want you to dismiss something. I don't know, maybe to allude to it or dismiss it, but I mean, I'm just sharing my own personal view here, because Nigerians, you might think it sounds ridiculous, but there are people that believe that, you know, the serpentine spirit is spiritual and things like that.
Now you sabi if you don't believe
There's what?
Serpentine spirits.
So of all animals now, there's no giraffe-tine spirit. It's snake that you single out for evil.
So my question is,
clean your bushes.
And that's the problem.
Clean your bushes.
You know why they will refer
fumigate regularly.
You know why they will refer to serpentine spirit?
The spirit of deception.
That is what actually happened in the Garden of Eden.
Which is what leads me to what I was about to say, that I just have one question when I get to heaven to ask God. Why did you allow this serpent into
He did
the
not.
ark?
It's the devil that used the serpent.
No, into the ark. They're supposed to watch serpents.
So that it won't exist again.
Exactly. You're not supposed to. During the flood, serpents.
Why are you discriminating?
I discriminate.
That's snake discrimination.
Serpents, before the serpent lovers will now come and say, oh, serpent is my pet. Serpent and mosquitoes should have gone with the flood.
With the flood when it happened. But
the lion and the tiger.
They're cute. They stay in the jungle.
So
they know their boundaries. Have you seen lion in Lagos?
We should just allude to
There's
what...
lion in Igbo.
There's no LI, it's on.
Oh, it's on. Let people just try as much as possible to just keep the environment clean and try to fumigate at this point in time.
And let the hospitals have the antivenom, because you can do everything.
You are talking about the hospital to have. What about other small pharmaceutical drug that is expected for things that are killing people on a daily basis? We're only talking of antivenom. A lot of people still go to hospital. They will tell you that having access to malaria drug is free, but people still pay out of it. Do we have our health center functional in areas where a lot of people cannot even have access to some of these things at the general hospitals? You might talk of maybe state like Lagos, Kano, Port Harcourt, where you have things happening. There are some general hospitals you go in some states, they don't even exist. There are no doctors there. What are we doing in some of these things?
I mean, we are just talking about mortality and things we should...
Those other things are still there. Our health sector... But they've called it off.
They called it off. I mean, they are going to go on strike again. Have they answered the doctors? National Association of Resident Doctors.
So there are a lot of problems that are actually there, and our health sector, because they will come and tell you, those are the things we learned while we were growing up. Health is wealth. But you are not actually providing those things to make us healthy. People are not having access to some of the things that will make life actually meaningful. Like the cancer you're talking about, there are countries that take some of these things with all seriousness that is actually needed. So I feel we need to improve more on our health sector, and until our leaders are very decisive to make sure that, possibly like one of our callers said maybe few weeks back, let's have regional hospital that you can call your own. So rather than you traveling, bring some of those doctors or those ones that are still remaining, so that you can feel the pulse of what an average citizen is actually doing in that area. But our health sector requires serious improvement if we must actually move on.
All right, let's look at this story, still on the front page of the Al Jazeera midweek. It says, police uncover transnational human trafficking scheme in Enugu. That's one story. NECO books 9,016 for malpractices, releases 2025 SSC external results. Wahala. UN Women links poverty, poor education to GBV. That's another story. But U.S. visit. Plateau governor engages key agencies on economic development and trade. I think one of the stories we'd like to take here is, most important, NECO. 9,016 for malpractices. Seems the number is not dropping. It's increasing.
Well, Joe, let me sound very pessimistic. The number cannot reduce.
Why?
It will continue to increase.
Despite the use of technology?
CBT.
The CBT?
You know, every step we take, this younger generation are taking like 2 steps ahead of you.
2 steps ahead.
Because even the technology that we are introducing, how many of the people at the helm of affairs understand the workability of those things? So the children you are actually giving those things to, they are 2 steps ahead of you. It's okay, is this the way to go? Okay, let's have it the first time. I'm sure we will study the mode of operation, and by next time we are actually there. I think the issue there is, can we go back to see how we can inculcate the reading habits? A lot of people, what they do now is to Facebook as against facing their book. Social media is just what we just have there. Everybody 24/7. They are just on the phone.
Content creators.
You know?
But while I hear you, there's also the responsibility of ensuring that what is being taught is quality education that prepares them to write these exams, because you can't take away the fact that it is what has been put on the inside of them that bubbles to the surface.
Yeah, that one is there. The same instrument, tools that they are using to do what I just said now, give them the opportunity to learn even ahead of some of their teachers. If the teachers are not high up there, I know of several people that do their reading via the materials that they get online, they harvest it, and you get some of the quality delivery that is expected of them out there. So you can't restrict yourself. A lot of us still write exams, and we don't stay within the ambit of what we are being taught in class.
Yeah.
You do research on your own, and if you want to compare what we have now with what education was those years, they are wide apart.
Yeah.
It is what the teacher gives to you, like you're saying, that you are going to make use of when you are writing your exam. But these days, in fact, you can query what your teacher is giving to you, because you have enormous materials out there reading outside the shore of your own country on the same topic, having different perspective to it. So I feel that we should have even more pass mark than we used to have before. But because a lot of them, what they are actually after is content creation, TikTok and the likes, there is nothing to research about things that will be more productive on their part. And that's why everybody this day want to be social media content creator, because that's enough to make good money rather than burying yourself in book to go. What the social media content creator will make in a month, the doctor may not make it in a year. Well, and that's why a lot of people are going down route to say, I think I would rather look for things that will give me fast means of livelihood than just stressing myself and facing what the doctors are facing, going on strike per second.
If I'm to go by your analogy,
the money doesn't come immediately.
If I'm to go by your analogy, then it's also the one of saying that it's why the government will, I mean, maybe not government, well, why private institutions invest more in reality shows and entertainment than they will
do
in value.
Yeah, it's sad. Some of these content creators even use us to chase other content creators.
I'm big.
I know. Please.
Let's work together.
Do something.
Let's do something.
Because of
I've suffered because of you. I fall down.
And by the way, don't you notice that Mr. Nyesom looks
he's looking so healthy and strong.
Mr. Nyesom, are you 21?
As a 21-year-old.
Yeah, I think I'm 24. Let's add 3 to it.
Okay, I was going to ask, when did you start this,
No, Mr. Nyesom does not know.
This talking.
In case you're, sorry, in case you're a bit lost. We're just joking around with some of the things that have been happening in the past
I'm sure
in recent weeks on social media surrounding the arrival of iShow Speed. And that's on that very hilarious and dry note, we are wrapping up the show today. Thank you for your time. To our guests, those who've dropped comments, our virtual guests, those who fought and those who will make peace thereafter. And thank you very much, Mr. Nyesom Kwade, for joining us.
Always a time to spend.
Thank you so much.
Midday. So, Benga, after the show, let's just get to the golf course.
Yeah, let's go. My handicap is, what's your handicap in golf?
Okay, well, I play handicap 21 now.
Okay, I play handicap 5 billion.
See you tomorrow. Have a good day.